Peace. What's up, everybody? This your brother, Mr. Holipsism. Here with you with a show. I actually had booked it yesterday, but me and Minister DeWood booked it at the same time. So, of course, I let my brother do his thing, and I just scheduled it for the next day, following day. Um, the topic I want to talk about today is the title of the live stream is I want nothing to do with quote unquote woke culture or identity politics unless wokeness and identity politics leads to land, infrastructure, nationhood, socioeconomic and political control over a piece of territory on the continent of our ancestors in the context of our collective reality. I'm unapologetically a Black nationalist and an African Senate progressive. I have zero interest in the plight of Black power Americans and militant integrationists and their perpetual to infinity and beyond fight with their daddy, the white man, for equality against racism and white supremacy in America. And that's what this show is going to be about in a nutshell. Just want to say peace to Jamal, peace to Mashir, peace to Odos, peace to Mufasa, and peace to Fatty Black. Gonna run my mouth for a little bit, so I might miss a few other people that come in, but I'll try to get back and say peace to everybody. Now, woke culture. What does it mean to be woke? What does it mean? Now, I went and I looked up what woke means because they said that woke was actually put into the dictionary. I didn't know that. I didn't know that they started including that. But let's see if I can find this definition. Where are you? Where are you? Bear with me a second. I'll be with you. Woke. Ah, there we are. There it is. Bum, 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 bum. Hey, come on. What's going on? Oh, okay. It means well informed, up to date, alert to injustice in society, especially racism. You know, they had to add that. And then they have a sentence: we need to stay angry and stay woke. Now, that's the dictionary definition. Holip's definition is woke is a bunch of bullshit. Woke is a mentality that has to be maintained by Black power Americans and militant integrationists within the context of America to make them feel better about themselves or to make them feel like they're actually doing something. Am I being unfair? Probably. I don't really care. Has nothing to do with me, nothing to do with Black nationalists, nothing to do with Africans and progressives. It's all some attempt to try to guilt white people in America. And if you find, and if you really notice, and this is the reason why I did this show, most of the stuff that Black Power Americans and these so-called woke people in woke culture and militant integrationists is all centered around white people. So you're woke. Why? So that you can put your wokeness against white people. So you can battle against white people. So you can guilt white people. So you can try to show that you're more enlightened than white people. Your whole reality is centered around white folks. And now let's get to identity politics. I wouldn't call black nationalism, because some people have said that, well, how can you be against identity politics if you're a black nationalist? I don't consider black nationalism identity politics, not in its true definition. Identity politics is something that Black Power Americans and militant integrationists engage in America. What does that have to do with black nationalism? What's the identity politics when you control a piece of territory and your own people control it and nobody else? I mean, are the Chinese into identity politics, or do they just control China? And is controlling China identity politics? Nobody, like I said, I made this point so many times. Nobody questions the nationalism of any other group of people except black folks. Nobody. I have never seen anybody call the Chinese racist. Never. When I go to a Chinese restaurant, there's only Chinese people working in it. Nobody ever says, oh, you guys are discriminatory, you guys are prejudiced, you guys are racist. Nobody ever says it. Why? Because Chinese people working with Chinese people, doing things for Chinese people, having a Chinese society, a Chinese community, nobody has a problem with it. But the moment black folks talk about having something of our own, we get accused of reverse racism, we accused of being prejudiced, discriminatory. Oh, you trying to say you hate what? Just by virtue of the fact that we want something of our own. So, what is identity politics here in America? I'll give you an example. This is just one example. Identity politics is pretending that you are working in the interest of black people and that you have a black agenda. So, when you approach other groups of people, you want to know, especially when it comes to politically, whether those people are going to work in the interest of black people. Now, here's something that I asked at work this morning, and nobody gave me an answer. I'll give you a paycheck if you can tell me what the black agenda is. I did that this morning at my job. Nobody could answer me. And when I asked the question, the wheels started turning in their head. They're like, oh shit, what is a black agenda? Nobody ever asked me that. And I said, I know why nobody ever asked you that. I told them, I've asked that questions in certain forums, so-called black forums, and have been asked to leave. As a matter of fact, me and Dynas did a show on this a while back, like the top 3 questions to ask a Black Power man. And please, I don't even want to look for it. I'm my brain is not working at full capacity right now. So I do know that what is the black agenda was one of the questions. And I think the other question was, what is the end game? And it was a third one, second one, I can't remember. Maybe y'all can, because I'm drawing a blank today. But that's what identity politics is. Oh, let me give you the example. When you go to Bernie Sanders and you ask Bernie Sanders, what's his stance on reparations for black people? That's identity politics. And it's also bullshit. And I pointed that out on Facebook. I pointed that out. It's bullshit. Why do I say it's bullshit? Because I think reparations is bullshit? No. I think it's bullshit because the people asking the question are not for reparations. The only time they even question somebody about reparations is when there's an election. So my question is, what were you doing about reparations when Bernie Sanders or anybody else wasn't running? What were you doing? What's the movement that are you out there pushing for reparations, and who are you trying to get these reparations from? Because I don't see that movement. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I'm saying the people that push that when a presidential election comes up, it's just a gotcha question that you're trying to do to try to because first of all, why the fuck should Bernie Sanders be for reparations for black folks? Do you not understand that if you're running for president of the United States, and this was the problem that I had with Barack Obama. No, I did not with Barack Obama, but Barack Obama's critics. When Barack Obama first became president, I expected absolutely nothing from Barack Obama. So there was nothing for me to be disappointed about. I hear people saying, "Oh, Barack disappointed me." How, nigga? What did you actually think that he was going to be able to do? When you're the president of the United States, do you honestly think that you're going to push policies that represent only 13% of the population? That would be political suicide if you did that. You're just going to only represent 13% or 5% of the population? Then why should anybody vote for your ass? If Barack Obama had said, "I'm going to come to the table with a black agenda. We're going to get reparations, free the land, da da da, black power, hotel, all that shit," do you think his ass would have been voted in as president of the United States? Are you serious? So I never expected Barack Obama to do anything. So he could never disappoint me. Because I said the whole presidency shit and a black president was meaningless. It was all symbolic. But nothing was going to be passed in terms of policies. Nothing was going to be passed in terms of legislation that was going to benefit black people in any way, shape, or form. Now, the only thing you can do as president is try to pass legislation that's going to benefit the vast majority of Americans. So for all black people thinking that you're going to get a candidate that it represents reparations, you're a goddamn fool. And not only are you a fool, you're a fucking political simpleton. Did you hear me? You're a fuck. We need to grow the fuck up, man. I'm so tired of engaging in these little bullshit adolescent conversations where people don't even fucking know what is a black agenda. When you approach a politician, black, white, Chinese, Latin, whatever the fuck they are, what is the black agenda that you're pushing? Do you even know? Because when I ask these people and when I see the things that, all right, let me give you an example. Kamala Harris. Now, should black folks support Kamala Harris or not? And why? What I've been hearing so far, the dominant thing I've been hearing so far about Kamala Harris, oh, she got a white husband. Now, let me ask you a question. And like I said, I don't give a fuck about her white husband. I don't care. It's insignificant to me. I don't have a white person as my mate. I got a sister. So what the fuck I care? My question is Kamala Harris passing policy to try to push her interracial relationship on every black person in America? Um, the answer is no. So then how is her relationship relevant to what affects my life? Now, let me put it in another way. Does Kamala Harris support Medicare for all? A policy that could benefit somebody who doesn't have medical coverage and probably doesn't want to go broke because they get sick? Suede, I'm getting ready to get into that. But I hear the opposite. I don't hear people complaining about her policies. I hear them complaining about her white husband because she got a lot more problems on the table policy wise than that. That shit is last on the pecking order as far as I'm concerned. But I'm going to get to that. Does Kamala Harris support a living wage, which could affect the vast majority of people living here in America? I mean, if you're going to live here in America, you should at least support somebody that's passing legislation that could possibly benefit you. Does Kamala Harris support free college tuition? Hmm? Does Kamala Harris support? Oh, does Kamala Harris support the death penalty or not? Now we're going to get into what Suede is talking about. Because Kamala, they call her Kamala Cop Harris for a reason. She's very right wing and conservative when it comes to the justice system. And just like all cops, she's a fucking sociopath, psychopath, really. who's on a power trip, when you give her power, the first thing she wants to do is crack down on poor people. She actually put single mothers in jail because their children were truant in school. I mean, I can go on to other things about her, but the bottom line is Jeff Johnson says, I don't, wait, no, he said, you can push policies for black people and do stuff for other people. Question, Jeff, what are the policies that should be pushed? What are black policies that should be pushed here in America? I'll wait for you to answer me. And I'm being serious. I'm not being sarcastic. I really want to know. Because whenever I ask people these questions, nobody seems to give me an answer. We need to push back policy. Okay, then what are the black policies? We need to have a black agenda. Well, what is the black agenda? Waiting on you, Jeff. I want to know what a black policy is for black people here in America that should be pushed by a politician that's trying to win the presidency. Keep that in mind. If the politician is running is trying to win the presidency, you have to factor that in. And what politician is trying to win the presidency is going to push for reparations for black folks before they get into office. Can we just keep it real? Can we just keep it real? Let's stop. We need to stop posturing black and really be black. Because what I sense and what I get from everybody, I see these politicians is that we're posturing black. We're standing in front of them asking identity politic questions. And really, the vast majority of the people that ask them are just trying to get it on. I gotcha. See, Bernie Sanders doesn't support reparations. Kamala Harris is not really for reparations. Like, okay, and so what you did, you just eliminated a person from the presidency. So who are you pushing for president? And this is a question that I always want to ask the people that say the Democratic Party is the plantation. So we need to get off the plantation and vote for the Republicans. My question to you is this: what are the policies that the Republicans are pushing to benefit black people? What is the black agenda for the Republican Party? Don't feel bad if you don't know. Don't feel bad if you don't know. Because the people that ask that same question to the Democrats, they don't know either. And you know why? Because black folks don't even know. So how do you expect the Democrats or the Republicans to have a black agenda or support a black agenda or support black policies when you don't even know what a black policy and a black agenda is? Let me scroll back up. Did Jeff answer that question? Jeff. He hasn't answered yet. Mushir says every policy set to assist black people has been divided up to assist every other group and subgroup of other people, and then we are giving a tiny slice left after the minorities. Yeah, pretty much. Amorphous Revolution in Amsterdam. Peace to you. Peace to Logos too. BAIO. The English language is the problem. It divides us. We need a totally new system with new code words that everyone can agree on. Everyone get the help that they need. Nearly Fuller Ashe. Amorphous. The only problem with that is how long is it going to take for everybody to learn a new language system? How many generations is that going to take? And how are you going to teach a new language system living in America? Because English is the lingua franca of America. So how are you going to introduce a new lingua franca for black people, and they're going to learn that language and learn it and become fluent in it to the point where we can now build off of it? How many generations is that going to take? Just a question. Jeff Johnson says reparations in the form of resources, Black people being recognized as a group similar to Native Americans with sovereign status. And you expect a person who's pushing to be the president of the United States to support that? Realistically? And what resources? Keep in mind, Jeff, the American public cannot even get Medicare for all. The American public can't even get a living wage. They can barely get a minimum wage. They can't get any free college tuition. You know what I'm saying? So, in light of that, you think reparations is going to come first in the pecking order to appease 13% of the population? I mean, it's just numbers. Isaac K., you want to call in? Give me your email address. Well, actually, it's not calling in. You got to go in through the computer. You got to use Google Hangouts. But give me your email address. Anybody else want to come in and give me your email address? I'll bring you in. We can have a nice little conversation. Peace, Odos. Before any talk of reparations, there has to be legitimate organization. Thank you. Reparations are given to nations, not simply people who have no collective agenda. Thank you. Okay, I hear you, Isaac. Yes, Jeff. Now we're on the same page. He can still push other progressive laws like free healthcare and free college. Exactly. But free healthcare and free college is not just for Black folks here in America, it's for everybody. You understand what I'm saying? So anybody that's going to try to push for president is going to try to push policies and legislations that would benefit everybody. They can't just simply single out one particular group and say, I'm going to work in your interest. You're not going to get the presidency by doing that. So why are we going to people asking them, yo, where you stand on reparations? That's a stupid fucking question. And it's just a simple gotcha question because first of all, the people asking the question ain't even for reparations. They just asking it because they figure, well, I'm Black, so maybe that's the thing to ask. That's part of the Black agenda, right? Should I ask that? Let me ask that question. They don't believe in no reparations. As a matter of fact, they're not even pushing for reparations until a goddamn election comes around. If people were actively take for instance the BAIO and the principles that we push them regardless of what month it is, what year it is, what time it is, what hour, what minute. Those are policies that we push and we believe in just all the time. It's not subject to some presidential election. But that's what these people do. They wait for an election to come around. So you're going to go to fucking white bread ass Hillary Clinton asking her about reparations? And then what? Drop the mic when she says that she's not for it? See, Hillary ain't for reparations. She ain't down with Black folks. Let me tell you something. Let me let you in on a little secret. Nobody is going to be for Black folks if you put reparation on the table. Not even Black people. If there's a Black person, was Barack Obama for reparations? Did Barack Obama come out and say, I want reparations for Black people because we need 40 acres and a mule? That nigga would not have been president if he did that. Like I said, we got to grow up, man. This identity politics and this woke fucking bullshit is all games, mental gymnastics played by people who want to exist here in America and don't want shit of their own. So why are we playing it? Woke. Exactly, Isaac. He said, beware what you ask white governments because they will give you exactly what you ask for. And Odos raised this point in a thread, and I raised it before that. If I was the white man, I would give Black folks reparations right now. I mean, that's not going to happen. But I'm saying if I were, I would give it to them right now. You know why? Because we're not organized. We don't have a government. We don't have any type of organization. So only form of reparations we're going to get is checks. And guess what, nigga? The moment that check gets cashed, the moment they cut that and attach it to your social security number, and you get a check for reparations to pay you back for slavery, which ain't going to be that much. How much you think that's possibly going to be? But let's say they give you $20,000, $30,000. Bullshit. Guess what, nigga? Discrimination, racism, white supremacy is off the fucking table for black people. So after we all individually spend our $30,000, you can't come to the white man no more talking about discrimination and racism, because they cut you a check and they can actually go into their system and tell you the number of the check that they cut. So you've lost all your leverage. Everything's off the table because you got a check for what? For reparations. Now compare that to when we are organized. The BAIO accomplishes its goal of getting land, infrastructure, and nationhood on the continent, and we form a government and institutions and infrastructure and actually build up a nation. Let's say we get it to half of what Rwanda has. Now, if black people want to talk about reparations, now you have something to funnel those reparations into. You actually have an actual nation that you can support. Because that's what reparations is. It's repairing a nation. Reparations, repairing a nation. It's not repairing individuals. So if I was a white man, I would give checks to everybody right now. Because how much would that possibly cost? It wouldn't cost a lot. It's 50 million black people. Oh, it's somebody do the math. I ain't doing that shit. 50 million black people. Let's say, I know all 50 ain't getting it because you got to include children and all that shit. Let's say 30 million black folks get about $30,000 or $25,000 a piece. How much would that cost? I cut those checks right now if I was a white man. I say, and I'll be like, y'all really want these checks? Really? Mufasa says 1 trillion would pay everyone. Cool. Cool. Cut it like that. $1 trillion. The United States government has announced that they are dedicating $1 trillion to pay off African Americans for the institution of slavery. $1 trillion. You all get about 30,000 apiece. Well, not everybody. Well, Mufasa said 48 million people. Okay, we'll go with that. We'll go with that. And what's going to happen after all these individuals get checked? Now, what could happen, which is not going to, but what could happen, let's say all of the people that got their checks from the government pool their resources together so they can establish a nation somewhere else. Now, that would work. That would work. Like every person says, you know what? We're transferring our 30,000 into the Black Nationhood Fund. Stop laughing. I hear you out there. I can hear y'all laughing while I said that. Don't laugh. You know that shit ain't gonna happen. That 30,000 is gonna probably go immediately to clothes, cars, and a crib. I wouldn't even say it's gonna go to purchase property. They'll rent out a nice apartment. Rent out a nice apartment, get some clothes, get some jewelry, and get a car or cars. Well, you ain't gonna get cars with 30,000. Get a car. Oh, that would be some funny ass shit. It would be just like what the Dave Chappelle skit was. It would be just like that because we're not organized. We don't have a government. We don't have departments in our government. We don't have institutions. We're just a bunch of scattered individuals aligned by aesthetic similarities. I've said this over and over again. That's all we are in America. A bunch of scattered individuals aligned by aesthetic similarities, meaning we all look alike to one degree or another. We all fit the black phenotype. And that's the only thing that aligns us here in America, because we're damn sure ain't aligned socially, economically, and politically. So how woke are you? Woke to me, you know what woke means to me? Whenever I think of woke, you know what I think of? I think of a person, a black person lying in a bed, but their eyes are open and they got a big white foot up their ass. They're sleeping in a fetal position with the white foot up their ass, but their eyes are wide open. So they are fully aware of the foot up their ass. That's how woke they are. That's what woke means to me. That you acknowledge that you got a foot up your ass. My next question is, what do you do with that wokeness? Do you proceed to take the foot out? Or do you just sit there patting yourself on the back because you know you got it in your ass? So don't attach me. I don't know about y'all, but don't attach me to no woke fucking culture, and please don't attach me to no identity politics, unless that identity politics is leading toward land infrastructure and nationhood. It's all a bunch of bullshit as far as I'm concerned. Let me go to the chat room. Um, 50 trillion according to financial Juneteenth. 50 trillion. Now that might be a little bit of a problem. They ain't giving no $50 trillion to black folks. You must be kidding me. Um, Isaac K. Mufasa, you have to take away about 5 to 6 million when you account that those that are first and second generation immigrants. Jeff Johnson says logos BAIO. Schooling means nothing when you run into a cop that can unjustly kill you and get away with it. Odar says, I take my money and run to the continent. I don't want to be here. See what happens after that. Disaster. Yeah, I figure, one good thing about cutting reparations checks is that every member of the BAIO can contribute to the nation. And we'd actually have some resources and funds to put into it. But that would just be us. Everybody else would be buying Bentleys and not Bentleys. You ain't gonna be no Bentley with no fucking 30,000. But you're gonna probably put a down payment towards some car that you're gonna be paying off monthly. Isaac K said, "Oh, Garrett, peace, Garrett. 30K to trinkets and zaddy. Yep. Yo, what does that? Could y'all tell me what the zaddy means? I'm ignorant on that. Tell me what the white. I keep hearing white zaddy. What does that mean exactly? It's a play on daddy, but what's the Z for? And excuse me for my ignorance because I'm not involved in most of this shit. So I miss a lot of shit. So if somebody could break that down for me. Um, Jewish reparations after World War II was paid mostly to Jewish organizations and Israeli institutions and companies, not to institutions. What? Oh, maybe you meant to say not to individuals. Is that what you meant? S. Wiseman, peace. Um, Logo said very, very true, but with a skill you can leave. Ronan Black. Woke people take excerpts from a Malcolm X speech and suddenly they claim they woke. Yeah, Ronan. NBC Merck, are you interested in interviewing on O'Shea's channel? More people need to hear you. I'm not against it. I'm not against it. Mr. Jones, Tariq coined it to make fun of swirlers. Yeah, I know that, but what does it mean? Like zaddy. What I don't understand. I don't get it. In other words, I know it's a play on white daddy, but I'm trying to figure out what the Z means. White supremacist male? Okay. I still don't know. I still don't know how that why that equates to zaddy. Oh, does it just sound good? I'm not sure. But it doesn't matter. I'm just totally confused on that. I don't pay attention to much of the stuff that's going on. Um Peace Kenyatta the King. Peace Dundada. Oda says woke equals Nick Cannon. Oh, is Nick Cannon a Moor? Because I see him walking around with that headpiece on. Is he a Moor now? Like I said, I'm not in this shit, man. The only people I talk to is y'all. And if I hear about anything, it's just on a peripheral level where I can just hear it. Like if I'm in a gym, walking down the street, in the supermarket, or out in public, I'll hear this stuff just in the atmosphere, like white noise. So I don't really pay attention to what's going on in today's pop culture. Jeff says, I would not even want money per se. I will only accept land, tax exemptions, military exemptions. When you say I, who are you talking about? You personally, or you're saying toward the nation? I'm assuming you mean the way you're describing this, I'm get the sense you mean toward the nation. But I just wanted to be sure. S. Wiseman says, in the meantime, we can buy a town here in the U.S. and fill it with small businesses like Chinatown, Little Haiti, etc. From your mouth to God's ears, personally, I don't think that's what's going to happen because we're not organized and we don't have any plan. So what's going to happen was you get poor folks $30,000. The only thing they're going to be thinking about is what they can get with it. They're not going to be thinking about nationhood. Renee, oh God, forgive me, Pierre. I'm just came from work. It's like my brain is not at full capacity, so I'm jacking your name up. It's pointless. It's really pointless to Z add on. Oh, okay, yeah. Land infrastructure nationhood in Africa is a must. That's Ben Yuko. Peace. Fatty Black says the Z means nothing. Okay, so it just sounds good. Zaddy. Okay, that's why I don't use that shit. Is there a BAIO in Miami, Florida coming soon? There's a BAIO Florida chapter, but I haven't been in the Florida chapter to see what they're doing in terms of getting together. So that I can't answer. But I would suggest go to the Florida chapter and see what's happening. Yeah, for Black people collectively. That's what I figured, Jeff. Odor says, I think the zaddy is indicative of the slow, sexy sounding way a stripper type would pronounce daddy. Oh, now that makes sense. Okay, within that context, and now I kind of get it. I kind of get it. Monsieur says repetitions in the form of a foreign policy. Repetitions or reparations? I think you mean reparations. Reparations in the form of a foreign policy which favors African nations who offer land to the diaspora. See, I like how you're thinking. Trade agreements, training, infrastructure funding, and grants for land acquisition would be nice. Exactly. Fatty Black says, and we don't have a host nation. Our host nation is America. So all of our money will go right back into America's society. Of course, just like the Dave Chappelle skit. Monsieur says, but it would never happen. I agree. Um, oh God, I'm having such a problem with this first name. Renee Renatrice Pierre? I'm sorry. I apologize. Reparations to me means access to everything that makes for successful existence provided for free for life to us in our next 5 generations, land, infrastructure, and agriculture. Access to everything that makes for successful existence. No. Yeah. Oh, except the only way that would work is if it's off the continent. We can't do that here in America. Because like he said, America is our host nation right now. So if you give money to blacks in America, it's going to go right back to America. Yeah, it was a typo. I figured that, monsieur. Mm-mm-mm. Garrett says, what do you think of mentioning BAIO to Julius Malema? I don't have a problem with that. The question is, what would Julius Malema do after we mention it? Renitris. 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 Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for helping me. I'm really like when I get off work and I come home, my brain just shuts down, man. So it's like I have a hard time processing quickly. I can do these shows better on my day off. But you can literally tell when I work the night because you can hear how I'm talking. I just be jacking shit up. Um, I'm for it. Let's get the plan solidified. Eric Swade, peace. I've been asking the same thing. What's Blight Zaddy? Who the fuck is this? I don't know who they are, but I'm on a show. Hodor says, honestly, I'm of the mind that if black people in America could successfully get legislation passed to end economic apartheid and give them fair access to capital, reparations wouldn't be needed. Wait, let me go back because, like I said, my brain is not. I'm of the mind that if black people in America could successfully get legislation passed to end economic apartheid and give them fair access to capital, reparations wouldn't be needed. Actually, that's true, but that's not even given to white folks here in America. I'll give you an example of how fucked up this country is. Amazon is worth $1 trillion. $1 trillion. That's how much Amazon is worth. Jeff Bezos, I believe his personal wealth, last time I checked, was over 100 billion. It might have been somewhere near 140 billion, but I think it might have took a dip or something. But it's over 100 billion dollars. Amazon is coming to New York and opening up a headquarters in Queens, I believe. Do you know how much money they're getting from New York to come to Queens? $3 billion of taxpayer money. And the headquarters, I believe, has a helipad for Jeff Bezos. Let that marinate in your mind for a little bit. And then maybe you'll understand why that pisses me off. You have a company that's worth $1 trillion, a CEO that's worth $100 billion, and he needs taxpayer money for his headquarters in Queens. Now, in a properly functioning, let's say this was Afrikstan. First of all, that wouldn't happen in Afrikstan, but let's say that that was even proposed in Afrikstan. Do you know that that would be headline news every single day until Amazon was run out of Afrikstan? If you want to have a headquarters in Afrikstan, bring your $100 billion or your $1 trillion. We ain't giving you shit. But here in America, taxpayers can pay a fucking $1 trillion company and a 100 billionaire, and nobody even talks about it. It's not even front page news. And you expect reparations? niggas, niggas, we need to grow up, man. We got a lot of growing up to do. We got a lot of growing up to do socially, economically, and politically. A lot of growing up to do. Hey, Dougie Fresh, what's up, man? Yo, what happened to your restaurant in Harlem? I'm sorry, y'all. I had to do it. Dougie Fresh. Um, Mr. Cat, what's up? Nationhood is not dependent on most Africans. All we need is one country to deal with us. Exactly. I agree with that. Fatty Black says that's fine because once the Javits Center is done building their new section, that's going to be generated annually for the city. What? What am I missing? Oh, you're talking about the Amazon thing, right? We're living in Europe's dark ages, but with modernism and technology. Yep. And Amazon is paying warehouse workers $13 to $15 an hour, $1 trillion company. Right. Amazon would be Amazon is capable of paying their workers a living wage and giving them some, stock options and whatever. Everybody that's in Amazon, if that's $1 trillion company, y'all should be sitting pretty. Everybody that's working for that company should be sitting pretty. You should get stock options the moment you come into the company. Like, well, I guess once you get past the what's this? Oh God, my brain is not working today. Once you get past the stage where you're at the job for a little bit, I don't know what that called. I know what it's called, but my brain is not working. Holip would destroy them. Destroy who? Wait, let me roll back up. Do a debate with TBA or Tariq one day. Why? Like, I really don't see the value in doing a debate. I really don't. It would. I'm. It's really hard for those guys to really do a debate with any of us, not just me, any of us in the BAIO, because they're not used to getting the questions or getting to the narrative placed the way that we would do it. Doug, you still didn't tell me what happened to your restaurant. Come on, Doug. What's going on? Yeah, like I was saying, these people, like, if you're a Black Power American or militant integrationist, how are you going to debate anybody in the BAIO? Because there has to be rules for the debate. Like, what's the actual debate? I don't mind it, but it just seems like a waste of time. And does anybody in this chat room need a debate in order to know that the solution is land, infrastructure, and nationhood? Forget the people on the fence. I'm talking about the people here in the chat room. Do you need a debate in order for you to come to a conclusion that land, infrastructure, and nationhood is the solution to our collective problems? I didn't think so. So it would just be, it would be ego. And I don't have no ego in this, really. And none of us should have any ego in it. Because it's like, how can you take pride in beating down a baby if you're a grown ass person? You know? And Tariq didn't do too well against the white supremacists that he debated. And the reason why is because if you ain't for land, infrastructure, nationhood, what are you debating the white supremacists for? You got nothing. Like, had I debated that white dude, me and that white dude probably would have been agreeing with each other for most of the debate. It would have totally thrown him off. Because had he said what he said to Tariq, imagine me in that position that he said when he said to Tariq, it seems like you guys need to get your own nation. Imagine him saying that to me or saying that to anybody in this chat room, how we would have responded. And it would not have been how Tariq responded. Why does LIN scare black people? I'll tell you why. I don't think it does, to be honest with you. I don't think that LIN scares the masses of black people. There might be some black people who have brought into the propaganda from Black Power Americans and militant integrationists, so they repeat and parrot their talking points. But if you were to actually sit down with them on a one-on-one and talk to them and show them how that shit don't make no sense, you can probably win them over. You know? Superfly says, "You scared of debates, nigga." Yeah, I'm terrified because you bringing so much heat, right, Superfly? You bringing so much heat that how can I possibly debate you? Get the fuck off my channel, you bootlicking nigga. Yeah, what happened to your movie, Superfly? It didn't. It kind of went double lead. What did it make domestically? Like, was it under 10 million? Shit, that's horrible. But anyway, the moral of the story is fuck woke culture, fuck identity politics. Let's stop playing these fucking gotcha games with black people. Well, I'm sorry, with white people and everybody else. And let's start concentrating on what we should be concentrating on, which is land, infrastructure, nationhood. All right, what did I miss? What's going on here? NBC Merck says, "I like Amin Ra, but he seems to want to conform." I don't really have a problem with Amin Ra because at least he's on the continent and he's pro Africa. So as long as you that, I ain't got no problem with you. Garrett Cole said, "Niggas always trying to be white and hate." Yeah, yeah, whatever. Y'all know this by now. Whenever I do any type of live stream or any shows, you're gonna get some bootlicking niggas that come in. That's just the way it is. And usually Belle handles them, but she's been busy as of late. She's still with us, but she's just business has picked up on her end. But I miss her. Yeah, Fatty Black says he's cool being a Kenyan citizen. That's fine. Yeah, we one of the things like that I think that we need to do, we need to stop concentrating on these individuals and stop questioning and putting them under pressure and all this. Listen, sometimes people are just wrong on an issue. It doesn't mean that they're a bootlicking nigga. It doesn't mean that you got to throw out the baby with the bathwater. Like it's a lot of people that I'm not necessarily down with ideologically 100%, but I don't throw. Oh, let me give you an example. You know who my favorite Black Power American and militant integrationist is right now? Take a guess. Let me see if somebody could take a guess. Who's my favorite? And I'm not being funny. I mean, I'm being serious. I respect them. My favorite Black Power American and militant integrationist right now. I'm gonna let y'all take a guess, and then I'm gonna tell you, unless somebody can guess correctly. Fatty Black got it right the first. Killer Mike. Love that dude, man. Love that dude. And the thing I like about Killer Mike, and the reason why I respect him as a Black Power American and a militant integrationist, is that he walks the talk. He's not just out here running his mouth talking a whole bunch of bullshit. He actually believes that we can do it right here. And I fully support him. Like I don't know if y'all guys caught his show on Netflix, Trigger Warning, but please check it out because the first show is a validation of everything the BAIO has been talking about, where he tries to live 36 hours in a black economy here in America. It's almost like he's trolling Black Power Americans and militant integrationists. Seriously, y'all need to really watch that episode. If you don't watch the whole series, at least watch the first episode. You know what I'm saying? But I respect Killer Mike. Like the idea that he came up with with the Cripa-Cola and the Blood Pop for the Crips and the Bloods so that they can actually market their organizations was brilliant. And it's something that I've been saying for the longest. I would, in a heartbeat, get me a Cripa-Cola and a Blood Pop. I would support that like crazy. Now, you know what's funny? What's funny to me is everybody in the BAIO, if you're actually doing something in America, I haven't heard anybody, not even, and Kala is hardcore. You know Kala. Even Kala respects people that's doing something here in this country. We're not against you. When we talk about Black Power American militant integrationists in the pejorative, we're usually talking about the motherfuckers that's full of shit. You know what I'm saying? But for people like Killer Mike and people that's really out here trying to organize our people, trying to get shit started while they're here in America, you have nothing but the BAIO support. So my question is, if we support the Black Power Americans and the militant integrationists that are actually trying to do something here in America, can we get some love? How about giving us some love? I mean, y'all feel me? We could, if somebody's opening up a supermarket or some chain of stores or whatever, or some business and it's Black owned, we support it. We promote it. We actually tell people about it so they can support it. But when we talk about going to the continent and trying to establish a nation state, you totally against us. So we support you and you'll do it right here in America, but you can't support us when we want to establish something on the continent. That's what I have a problem with. And I'm quite sure if I was to sit down with Killer Mike, I know for a fact that Killer Mike is not interested in Africa. I know this for a fact. But that's not why I respect him. I mean, Patrice O'Neal is one of my favorite comedians, and he was anti-African. And I listened to him do stuff anti-African in his comedy routines. It didn't turn me off against him as a person. I thought he was cool. Same thing with Killer Mike. That's just their perspective. I don't get offended by people's perspective. I judge you on an individual basis. Are you a cool person or are you a bootlicking nigga? You know? So if I was to sit down with Killer Mike and actually talk to him, we can come to common ground. Because I would tell Killer Mike made a statement, and he used the usual straw man that everybody uses. I ain't going back to Africa, nigga. Nobody asked you to go. Everybody seems to think that when you talk about establishing something on the continent, that we trying to drag your ass back to Africa. And I want to explain to him that straw man so he will stop using it and other people will stop using it, that we're not talking about every Black person in America going to Africa. We're talking about a small percentage, 2 to 5%, to support building a nation state on the continent. That's all. 98% of y'all, 90 or 95% of y'all can stay right here in America. So why do people keep saying, I ain't going back to Africa, as if anybody asked you to go? But what about the people that want to go? You against them? And I'm not talking about Killer Mike, but I'm saying that's how the common ground would be. So I say, Mike, I support Cripa-Cola. I support Blood Pop. I support everything that you are doing. I support New Africa, even though that ain't really a thing. But, I support everything that you're trying to do here in this country. All I'm saying is, why fight us when we want to do something else? Those two things can exist in the same space. Yeah, but you know what, Mr. Jones? I don't hold it against them because that's the popular narrative. You're not going to come out with anything other than the same old bullshit that you've been hearing if you don't have an alternate opinion. And most people haven't sat down, talk with an actual Black nationalist or African-centered progressive and asked them, hey, what's up with this concept of a nation state on a continent? Most people are going off of buzzwords and once they hear back to Africa, oh shit. Once they hear Liberia, oh shit, Liberia, and they just repeat like tape recorders, the same talking points that they've been fed for all these years. But they haven't actually sat down and talked to anybody. So like I said, I'm willing to be on any show as long as I'm not being set up and not being attacked. But I'll be on a show and do an interview with anybody. If somebody wants to actually ask or be an honest player and actually wants to understand what the BAIO is all about, or what Black nationalists and African-centered progressives are all about, I'd be more than willing to have that conversation. But I'm not going to be on a show where it's about entertainment, where you want to see me battling and fighting with some nigga. I don't have the time or the patience for that shit. But if we want to have a conversation, cool. When I was on the Information Man show, we had a conversation. When I'm on Dynas's show, we have a conversation. I've done other interviews, Real Talk Solutions, and other things that you can see on my channel. I've been interviewed and I've had conversations with people. I like that format because that means you're trying to elicit understanding, you know? So I'm more interested in that than a debate. Yeah, actually, yeah, I've been subscribed to African Esquire. Bashir says somebody hit me with that. What about Liberia the other day? And I wanted to spit on them. Um, Bashir, this is not just for you, but anybody. And y'all know this. Anytime somebody brings up Liberia, this is what I want you to say. Because most black dudes are into sports. Or if they're not into sports, you can use it for other things. But most of them are into sports. They either like football, basketball, whatever. Just ask them, well, we just had a Super Bowl yesterday. The Rams lost, right? So does that mean the Rams don't play next year? Just put it to them in terms that they can understand. You know? And I've shut people up when I made that analogy. If they say, "Oh, I'm a Giant fan," I said, "Well, the Giants didn't win the Super Bowl this year, so I guess the Giants ain't playing no more." What, they tore down Giant Stadium because the Giants lost? How come you can understand getting back next season and trying to win the Super Bowl, but then when it comes to nationhood, one and done? And that usually shuts them up. I have yet to have somebody retort to me about that because you can't. You can't retort to it. There is no retort to it. You're working and operating off of propaganda. And once you can point people out to propaganda, yeah, you can use it for any sport. You can actually use it for any athletic competition. Boxing. If a boxer loses a match, does he continue? Or he discontinues fighting? He don't train no more for the next fight? Fight's over, I lost. We can understand the concept of coming back to win, regrouping, coming back, regrouping, coming back. No matter how many times you lose, there's been teams that's been losing for 40 years, and they still been putting out football teams and teams so they can try to win that Super Bowl or win that World Series. New Jersey Progressive Indy says there is no one size fit all solution to black people problem. Everything should be on the table. There is room for what the BAIO proposes and those who have a different perspective. A freaking men. A freaking men. Like somebody in the BAIO had posted up, and forgive me because I don't know who it was offhand, and they were talking about how hard it is to get land in Africa. And so I said, the problem isn't how hard it is to get land in Africa. The problem is one dimensional thinking and lack of problem solving. When somebody puts a problem in front of you, what you have to do is figure out, how am I going to solve this problem? Now, the question is, what do we want and what do we need? We want territory, right? We want land. Now, the next question is, what are the ways to get the land? And have you exhausted all ways? So how many ways are there? We can purchase it, right? Or we can ask for it. That's two. Very rarely do you get anybody that goes past two. Why? Why? Is there a third option? Is there a fourth option? Is there a fifth? Are there different ways that you can go about getting land? Or is it only two? You either gotta purchase it or ask for it. That's one dimensional thinking. And that's what we need to get out of. I can think of about 7 options off the top of my head that don't involve purchasing land or asking for land. There's one in particular that I've been bantering about. Should I even say it online? And I keep saying no to myself because I don't want to give away too much of what we're trying to do. But let's just put it this way. We need some multi-dimensional thinkers. We don't need people that just keep doing the same shit. And I hate when people say, oh, you can't do it because da 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 da. There's no such fucking thing as can't, nigga. There's no such thing as can't. When you have a problem in front of you, you're either going to solve the problem or you're not going to solve the problem. There's no can't. And there's plenty of ways to skin that cat. I'll just say this. I won't, but let me just put this out here and let people's minds go to work and race. I'm going to type a term in the chat room. Talk amongst yourselves. Talk amongst yourselves. And on that note, yo, I'm out of here, man. It's been over an hour. I really appreciate the people that showed up. I appreciate the 8 dislikes that I got. I appreciate the 21 likes that I got. I appreciate the 35 people watching. You know, and I want to give a special shout out to Holip's bitches. You know, you will always be there. But peace, y'all. I'll catch y'all later, and I'm glad y'all was with me today. I'm gonna get me some sleep because I can't even fucking talk. I'll holler at y'all later, all right? Peace.